Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. As I mentioned the other day, I'm out of Facebook jail, so I'm starting to get the content machine rolling again and starting to plan out my travel year as well. I know a lot of people are a little hesitant about traveling right now just because of the Omicron surge. I am hopeful that by the end of February or beginning of March, that should largely be done, I hope. So because I am that optimistic, because I am that hopeful, I am out looking for flights today. My kids have a week off in February. The Seattle Public Schools have a midwinter break, which is my favorite holiday of the whole year because it's a very awkward vacation week in the middle of February. Now, if you have ever been to Seattle, you know that it rains constantly. It has been pouring for like 3 days. We've gotten like 3 inches of rain in the past 2 days. So everybody, by the time February comes around, we're all dying to get the heck out of here. So it's my favorite time to usually go find some sun. And typically I want to go to, I don't know, Southern California or Hawaii or Mexico, something like that. I've been looking at flights to try and figure out where to take my kids. And I wasn't really sure where to start because should we stay in the US? That might be safer. Should we travel abroad? There is the risk that maybe somebody could catch COVID. And what does that look like? There was just a lot of questions. So I wasn't even sure where to start researching what I was going to do with the kids for their February break. So what I did is I went where I often do. I went to Skyscanner to start. And what it got me thinking about is that you might like to see the way I think about travel, the way I plan my trips with my kids, and how it is that I pick flights and things like that. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of walk with you. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk with you through what I usually do when I'm trying to plan a trip. And the hardest part sometimes is just that you don't even know where you want to go. You don't even know where to start. There are so many options. And the other thing that really leads my decision-making processes for vacations with my kids, because there's 3 of us, is what's the cheapest flight? And you'd be surprised. A lot of people think that going to Europe must be incredibly expensive, or going to Asia or any of these other destinations. And sometimes you can find deals that make traveling internationally actually cheaper than flying within the United States. So what I'm going to do, if you want to hang on for just a second, is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to show you guys how I think about this. We're getting some comments in already. So LA apparently is nice right now, and I should consider San Diego. Yes, I should consider San Diego. That's where my dear friend Trish lives as well. And Disneyland wouldn't be bad, although Disneyland you have to make reservations for. That's why I was a little bit hesitant to even think about doing that. But I did think about it. So please, if you have tips that you like to share about the way you make your decisions about where you're going to travel and how to get the best deal on flights, please go ahead and put them into the comments, and I'll be taking a look at comments the whole time. So here we go, share screen. By the way, I've been working on my Facebook page or my YouTube page today. So there's going to be more content up there if you guys are interested in watching some more of my old videos. All right, so here we go. Oh, you can see me now talking to myself. Here we go. We're going to start with Skyscanner. So Skyscanner is the place I like to go when I am not entirely sure where I want to go. So here you can go and you can put in basically any destination you can think of with your dates, and it'll give you a whole bunch of different ideas. So here I was thinking about going to Dubai for the expo over the kids' vacation. So we'll just have a quick search and see what Skyscanner comes up with. So Skyscanner is like a big pot of everybody who goes everywhere. And what I like about them is that they often include airlines that maybe you've never heard of. So this is especially nice for inter-European flights if you're looking for these little funky airlines. So you can see already it's thinking, it's giving me a few different options, just like any other search engine. And then when you found what you want, you can click on it and it'll give you all the different people that are offering it at that particular price. It gives you the cheapest, the fastest, and the best. This is such an easy interface. This is one of the reasons I really like Skyscanner. It's very, very simple. And when you see 20 deals from $970, that's interesting. So let's click on that and see why there are 20 of them. It's the same flight. It's all the same flight, but what Skyscanner does is that Skyscanner will tell you all the different people who are offering it. So let's have a look and see. Trip.com, never heard of them. Bravo Fly, never heard of them. Uja, now that sounds suspicious. So these are all travel agency websites, and you can buy from any one of these. And most of these people I have never heard of, but this compares all the different prices that are available. Notice that Emirates, buying directly from the airline, which is what I'm going to suggest, is the same price as Priceline. Why would you buy on Priceline if it's the same price as Emirates? So if, what I look is at what that actual airline is charging. They're charging $10.57. You should pay no more than that for sure. But if you have the option of buying directly from the airline, you should do it. So what I mean is between these three here, I would take the Emirates one 100% because it's booking directly with the airline. And I'll get into a little bit more of why that's important in a little while. But you can see Expedia is more, Orbitz is more. I know some people have like loyalty programs with Expedia and Orbitz that might sway them in that direction. But those are all the different prices, 20 different prices for the same flight. Now, the lowest one on Skyscanner, I am always really hesitant to buy because they're from agencies and you may not have all the information. You may not know who they are or what country they're based in. Often they're not based in the United States, they're based somewhere else. And so what happens if you have to change your ticket? You don't deal with Emirates. You're going to deal with this trip.com, whoever they are. So you have to be a little bit careful with Skyscanner. Just because that could get you in a little bit of hot water. But here's the function I wanted to show you guys. So for this, I have the dates of my kids' vacation. And yeah, Dubai is a neat idea, but let's have a look and see what the possibilities are. So I can't decide. So I'm just clicking on it and it says can't decide where. Click here to search everywhere. So now I'm going to get to see what's out there if I really don't care where I'm going to go. And this is such a fun thing. I don't know any other website that does this. This is the first thing I do when I'm trying to think about what am I going to do with my kids. Oh, we'll search for the whole month. Here we go. Usually it just, there we go. Okay. So it's got all these different destinations. It's telling you United States from $59. It doesn't tell you where that is. So you have to click on it to figure out what are the other options within that country. That's a pretty big country, but now it's going to tell me all the different country or cities that I can visit and what the starting price is for the dates I have available. So that's kind of fun. I don't think I want to go to the United States. What are my other options? And it lists them in price order. So you can find that the cheapest flight outside of the United States is to Canada or Mexico. And then you can keep going. Let's see what the cheapest one for Europe is. I don't care where I go to Europe. In Europe, I just want to go to Europe. Looks like I'm going to be going to Italy from $460. Wow, that's actually a really good deal. Let's find out about that. Florence, $460. Wow, that's a great deal. Let's click through and check out some prices on that. Prices shown are estimations. So now that we've clicked through, it shows the prices for the month of February. It shows in black and green ones that somebody has already searched for. So if we were to buy a ticket, let's say we wanted to leave the 10th, and then we wanted to return the 16th, it's already suggesting that if we do that, we're going to get a really, really good deal. So let's go ahead and try that. $543 per adult. That's not bad at all. So it's going to search for that ticket that I just looked at. $579, $573 is the cheapest. And yeah, that's a great ticket. That's on KLM. That's my favorite flight through Amsterdam, landing in Florence for $579 round trip. That's a screaming deal. So let's go ahead and we're going to click through it. And we're going to have a look at what our options are. So that's a great ticket. I like it. 120 and landing in Florence at noon, leaving at 6:30 a.m., which is fine actually from Florence because it's easy to get to their airport. And then landing back in Seattle at noon. Okay. KLM has the cheapest price, which is interesting because I probably would have gone to Delta, which may or may not have the same price. And then these other ones, these are just these other clearinghouses. So this is actually the best price, $579. What a deal. Holy cow. I think, if you don't mind going to Italy right now, that's why I'm thinking about Italy. I can't believe how cheap it is. So that's kind of how this stuff works. If we go back to the Finder from the beginning, and we want to see other places we can go to Egypt for $439 round trip. We can go to the Bahamas. Oh, now wouldn't that be nice? I've never actually been to the Caribbean. So any of these, Aruba, these all sound great. But you also are going to have to be very flexible with a lot of these because some of them are going to be kind of funky connections. Let's just pretend that we want to go to Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica. Let's go to Jamaica. Montego Bay, I don't even know where Montego Bay is, but let's find out. And we can just kind of click on these. My kids have vacation more or less this week. Let's see if there's any option that would work for us. So it's just kind of fun. It's fun to browse. It's fun to see what the different options are. You know, are the tickets as cheap as they said? Because a lot of times it'll say the ticket is going to cost you $500, but then when you actually get into the search engine, it's quite a bit more. Oh, no, it is. It's $522 if you would like to go to Jamaica. So there you go. So that's how that works. That's why I really like Skyscanner. It helps me sort of figure out just an idea of where I want to go. Now, after doing all of this different research, I have kind of determined that I want to take the kids to Italy because the ticket is so cheap and it's so inexpensive to buy or to find lodging there. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So now that I know I want to go to Italy, I'm going to go to a couple of other places that I like to look and compare prices. So I'm going to say Seattle. We're going to go to Venice, BCE. And we're going to go the 18th. See, this is nice. Look at the colors on this calendar. Green, of course, means cheap. Orange, of course, means expensive. So that's why you want to try and choose the dates you go based on the cheaper tickets. So I'm going to leave on the 18th, come home on the 27th, and let's have a look and see what Kayak does. Now, Kayak is a similar thing to Skyscanner, except for they don't have the everywhere function that I think is so cool. But let's have a look and see what they come up with. First class, no thank you. Basic economy, no thank you. So they say the cheapest is going to be $993, which is interesting because that's a lot more than what I've found other places. Okay, so that, I'm not real impressed with their prices here, actually. I've found better prices everywhere. Oh, here we go. There's a $582. But a lot of times these ones that are cheap, look at that, 2 stops, 17 hours with 2 stops, 21 hours to get home with 2 stops. I don't really want to take 2 stops. I think I can probably do better. But if you don't mind, you can get some good deals. Right now, I don't recommend flying through London, even if a lot of the tickets through London are pretty inexpensive, just because there is, it's a little tricky flying through there right now. So here's a great one. There you go, $588. But here's the big thing. Look at that, $588. It's a great flight, goes from Seattle to Paris to Venice, 19 hours. That's a really good amount of time. Or I can do Amsterdam, same price more or less for the Amsterdam flight. Fantastic, but have a look. $588 is basic economy. Now look at that. It just showed you on the menu there. What's the difference? $588 gets you basically nothing. You have to pay to check bags. You can only do a carry-on baggage allowance, and you get really nothing else. With the main cabin, which is $738, you're going to get some really good extras. Okay, so our really good extras that we're going to get change anytime, which also means you can cancel the ticket if you have to, which I think is important now. Seat selection, that's really important. Upgrade eligibility, which for me is important because I have Platinum on Delta plus lounge access as well. So these are the things that are important does that matter to you? So this is saying not a refundable ticket, but I think Delta actually has a different rule than that. So you have to look directly with the airline to find out. But for me, the difference between the $588 and the $738, I don't think I want the $588 ticket, honestly, because you're going to end up in a terrible seat. You don't get any check bags and you can't change or refund the ticket. So I think that's a bit too much of a gamble for me for basic economy. So just remember when you're looking at those prices, that's what's going to make the difference. Okay. So that's Kayak, which is kind of similar to Skyscanner. Then there's Expedia. So let's go ahead and have a look at Expedia, and we're going to go do the same thing. Seattle, going to Venice, and we're going to go to Venice on the 18th of February. This is 17th of February through the 27th. Okay, and let's find out what we got here. please, if you guys have some good tips of what you like to do, put them in the comments, because I'm going to go ahead and read the comments out in a few minutes after we've gone through a few more of these. I'm sure some of you have different options and ideas than I do. Flexible dates, see, that's a really good option if you can choose a flexible date option within the search. And I know that Expedia does that, and will give you some different options for prices depending on the day. Now, something to know about Expedia, they are a travel agency. And that means if I were to choose one of these flights and I had to change my ticket or cancel my ticket, I'm not calling the airline, I'm calling Expedia. And even if I think Expedia is a pretty good company, I don't want to hassle with them. Like, I want to deal directly with the airline. It's a middleman. You're basically adding a middleman into the soup. I don't know if you want to add a middleman into the soup. So that's why, as much as I like Expedia, I'm not sure I would go with them. The one thing I do like Expedia for, though, is if I were going, let's say, to Las Vegas or something like that, I do use Expedia for this. They do a great job with vacation packages. That's my favorite thing to use them for, is if I want to go somewhere cool and I don't want to think about how to plan my trip. Their vacation packages, let's say I was wanting to go to Florida. I don't know that I want to go to Florida, but if I wanted to, you can go here and you can get the whole thing put together. You can get your flight, you can get your car, you can get your hotel, everything. And they usually give a discount when you package things together. I was looking at going to Hawaii for that week, and it was a really good deal, actually, to have everything put together. Let's just do a quick package and I'll show you. It's so nice and easy. You've probably done this before. I'm sure you already know this, but I think that this is really slick if you've never tried it before. So let's do Seattle, going to, oh yeah, let's pretend we're going to Hawaii. I've never been to, which is the one, the Lanai, Kauai. I've never been to Kauai. So let's pretend we're going to Kauai, and flight added, stay added, add a car. So it's just going to give me the whole kit and caboodle. And I think that's really nice. If you just want to have it easy, have everything put together. The only thing that's a little screwy about these is that you have not so much choice with the flights. So they give you this price, and the price is based on the cheapest flight they have available. So you select it thinking, oh, okay, obviously the Kauai Beach Resort and Spa is going to be more than the Tip Top Motel. Okay, sure. And look at what a great deal. Okay, so let's say I'm a cheapskate and I want to do the Tip Top Motel and Cafe and Bakery. Okay, that's pretty depressing, but hey, I'm in Hawaii, so it's not that bad. Let's just take the cheapest room. All right. And now it's going to show me the flights. And this is where things can get messy with Expedia, is that, yes, that's a good deal right there for going to Hawaii. And look, we got a discount. We got more than $100 discount for booking everything together. And that's nice, because that actually is a real discount. If you try to piece these things together and price them out separately, you are getting a discount. But here's the thing. Now you've got some different flight choices, and some of them are good. Oh yeah, actually, this is a good one. You got a Delta flight there. But if you want to choose, look at that. Some of these go up, and this is each way. This one, if you wanted to fly Alaska on a nonstop, it's $202 per person round trip, but that's just for that leg. So let's say I wanted to pay that much, sure. Oh, and then I have to choose main or economy cabin, one or the other. So it's basically, at this point, it's going to start racking up extra amounts of money. It's going to start adding, okay, so, but I want to fly on Alaska on the way back too, because I have, let's say I have a loyalty card with them. So I choose this nonstop. Oh, I guess I want refundable just in case. And now suddenly this very, very cheap vacation has gotten quite expensive. Do you see? We've added a lot of money to it. The total for that trip now is over $4,000. So that's a lot more than what I was expecting when I first saw the amount of money. So just remember that when you do those packages, the flight is the thing that's really going to determine the final price. They're going to give you the cheap price based on the worst possible flight or the cheapest flight. So that's Expedia. I think they're great for packages, and I would stick with them booking within the United States. I'm not sure I would book with them for things outside the United States. Okay, moving on to other things here. A lot of people have suggested to me that they like this thing called Scott's Cheap Flights. I can't recommend them because I don't know them, but I just wanted to give them this a little shout out because I've heard about this from so many different people. What their deal is you subscribe, and you pay money, kind of like the Patreon you guys used to support me. And what they do is you put in your selected airports that are close to you, and then they email you and they ping you with the best deals that are coming up. So anytime there's some kind of crazy hot deal, they're on top of it and they ping you so you can have a look. This is great if you're somebody who can take off on a vacation on the drop of a dime and you don't really care where you're going. So this is a really good way to get the best deals without you having to even think about it. But also it's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to France and I need the best ticket. Well, that's not really what this is for. This is for giving you crazy deals where you can just, drop everything and run off to Aruba or whatever if you get a good deal. So it's something interesting to look into if you think that that's going to be helpful to you. All right, so the other one that's very popular right now that everybody loves is Google Flights, and this offers some of the functionality of Skyscanner. They have the Explore button, so you can look at the whole world. I think this is so fun. So I'm going to put in my kids' vacation week, and let's see what we get. Look at that. I want to go to Europe, and look, it just gives me a nice visual of what on that week I'm going to pay. And I can kind of scan around here. Well, maybe I don't want to go to Europe. Maybe I want to go somewhere else. So you can just kind of scroll around. Oh, Marrakesh, $1,200. It's a pretty little visual. Ooh, I didn't even think about South America. Look at that. Bogota for $589. I'm not sure I'm willing to go to South America right now, but hey, Cape Town, $1,000. That's a deal because that's a really long flight. So this is kind of fun. Oh, Réunion. I so want to take my kids there. That's actually France. That's a part of France. Singapore, Hong Kong. So these are the cheapest flights, $641 to Tokyo. Oh my goodness, that's a great deal. Ulaanbaatar, not such a good deal. So you can just have some fun with this, with the explore mode like this. You can kind of figure out what the best deal is for the dates that you're going. They also add in some nice things to do. So if you're not sure, if you have clicked on a place, it'll show you all the different things you can do, and then you can kind of bookmark them and put them together like your own little mini travel guide. But then we're going to go to the flights, because the flights, that's the part I really like. So I'm looking at Venice, same destination for those dates. Let's take the kids out of school a couple days early and see if we get a better deal. Generally, if you leave on Wednesdays and you return home, I think Saturdays, those are the days you're going to do well. Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday for departures. Also departures on Saturday. Saturday is a good day to travel. Those are usually less. Friday and Sunday and Monday are the worst days. Those are always going to be expensive. Now have a look at this. I've looked for this flight before and I was tracking it. And this was a flight that leaves this week. And I was thinking about going this week. So it's been tracking it and it's been pinging me and sending me prices for the past couple of weeks just to tell me, hey, the price is going up. You better jump on that. And now this $572 ticket is up to $1,364 because it leaves within a day or two. So let's have a look and see what we can come up with here. All right. Yeah, somebody's mentioning is searching incognito instead of searching as yourself because you might get better deals. I believe that was true a few years ago, but I have heard, and I can't confirm, but I've heard that that's not a thing anymore. Because it used to be that the algorithm would change based on how many times you searched for that flight. But that was maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I don't think they use that algorithm anymore. Okay, so here are the best departing flights to get to Venice for those dates. Wow, 13 hours and 30 minutes. That's really fast. How is that possible? Oh, yeah, Charleston. Oh, no, look at that travel time. A 10-hour overnight. What? That's not a good deal. It's a cheap ticket, but not a good deal. So I'm seeing more or less the same kinds of things, but let's see. Maybe I like one of these flights. Let's pretend that I like this flight. Okay, this is a good flight. I'm going to select this flight. Okay, look at that. So what I can basically do is I can put a watch on these flights, and then it'll let me know when they go up, when they go down. I think it's interesting. They add in the CO2 emissions. They tell you how many stops, all that kind of good stuff. So lots of good information there. So Google Flights is very, very useful. And look at all these different things you can sort by: the number of stops, which airlines, if you have certain airlines, or actually this is great, SkyTeam only, because I'm a SkyTeam member and I want to get those perks. I can search only by SkyTeam members. Look at that. That's really handy. And then you can see what that does. Yep. So lots and lots of things you can play with on here. And, even if you're not planning on traveling, you should jump onto Google Flights and just learn how to use it. It's a lot of fun, and it'll also save you some money. They also do the hotels in the similar way. One thing to know about Google is with all of this stuff, they are not a travel agency. So when you go to buy a flight, let's go back to the flights. Let's say that I wanted to buy this ticket on Lufthansa, let's say. Sure, that is a terrible deal, but I'm going to take it anyway just to demonstrate. When I want to go and buy it, select flight. It's going to, let's see here. Oh, see track prices. There's the track prices button. I can click on that if I just want to get that ping from Google. But if I'm ready to go, here are my booking options. So these are two different booking agencies. Or you can book directly with Lufthansa. So if I click on Lufthansa, it's going to take me now to a booking portal directly with Lufthansa. This is not a ticket that I'm buying through Google. So Google does not have any responsibility. I personally would still go directly to the website rather than booking through this Google portal. I'd say, okay, look, I can see that that's the price on Lufthansa, and then go directly to the provider. So I'm going to do that now. I think I want to go on Delta. I don't want to go book through Google Flights. Instead, I'm going to go directly using the Delta app. I can do it on my phone, or I can do it on here. I'm just going to back up a little bit and show you what I'm doing. Same trip as always. Yeah, but let's take the kids out of school on a Tuesday, because that might be cheaper. And let's have a look and see what we can find. I have to say Delta is my favorite. I have a big, big soppy wet kiss for them because they are amazing. They've always treated me really well. Their tickets are usually a little bit more expensive than other people, but they're very fair with their policies. So here we go. Here is our round trip to Venice from Seattle. They have that wonderful direct flight to Amsterdam, and an hour and a half layover, which is enough time in Amsterdam. That's fine, arriving at 11:30 in the morning. So I get the whole day in Venice. Now, this is where I get to choose how much I want to pay for my ticket. So round trip price, Comfort Plus for $1,300 is a great deal, but Premium Select for $1,500, that is a fantastic deal. If I was going by myself, I would so buy this ticket. $3,000 for a round trip in Delta One, even if I don't have the money for that, sounds nice, and I think that's probably a good deal. But here's what the zone I'm in. I'm in the basic economy or main Europe economy. I am not going to choose the $594 ticket. It's $150 more for this one, but this is going to be a much better deal. I'm 6'2" and I cannot do this thing with seats assigned after check-in. So here I am. I'm going to choose that main Europe economy. And now they're giving me this choice. Do I want a fully refundable ticket? Okay, so that's $200 extra for a fully refundable ticket. All the benefits of main cabin plus fully refundable. And then you can take any available same day flight for free if you're traveling within the US. That's a really, really good deal. What I believe that they allow with the main cabin ticket that's $744 is it's not refundable, but it is a credit. So if the kids and I book this ticket and we can't go, they will give us a $2,100 credit for it. I'm probably going to use miles, and they have very flexible kind of things with their miles. I've changed all kinds of things with my miles tickets as well. So that's how that works. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to pretend I'm booking it. I'm going to pick this one because I'm pretty sure it's going to work out. We're going to be fine. But look at this, how they have on this, the main page, it tells you what you need. So on the first flight, let me just go back there for a second. It said, oh, I'm going to Italy. And here's the reminder. This is the other thing that's nice about booking directly with the airline is that when you're buying your ticket, it'll have the notification telling you what you need to know about that destination, what COVID tests you need, what vaccinations. See, look at this, Italy open and no quarantine. Fully vaccinated passengers are not required to quarantine, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got your full details. This is important to click on this and to find out from that particular airline. It doesn't matter what the country you're traveling to or the city you're traveling to requires. It's the airline that matters because they're the gatekeeper. They're going to let you on or they're not. So here's the thing. You want to take a look at this, and they have a portal here on Delta where they'll tell you what the requirement is for your trip. If you need a PCR test, an antigen test, any of that kind of stuff. So this is really a nice feature that Delta has on their website. So let's just go back and pretend that we're booking this. We're going to continue with this. And then we're going to get with our return ticket. And you could, if you saw before on this return ticket screen, they have the reminder here again, negative COVID test required to enter the US. So it might be smart when you're booking this stuff to just take a look at it with a screenshot, keep a screenshot so you remember. So here's a nice thing. I can also click and see miles. So I'm interested in seeing what the ticket price would be in miles just to compare, because I do have a lot of miles. I've been traveling for 25 years. So I've got a nice pile. And that's a good question to think about is it useful to use your miles? So right now they're offering a departure on Tuesday, oh my gosh, for 72,000 returning on Thursday, the February 24th. So I could fly the kids for 72,000 miles plus $87 each. That's a really good deal. What I kind of look at it as being is that if you're using your miles wisely, each of your miles should count for what, a penny, something like that. So this is not a bad deal, I think. I'm not sure I'm going to use that. We'll see. I'm going to have to compare a little bit more. But isn't this cool? Look at this calendar if you're going to use miles. So the best deal I'm going to find is if I depart on Tuesday, February 15th and return on Thursday, February 24th or Tuesday, March 1st. So that's pretty cool that you can kind of navigate that on your own. So that is basically how I go about doing my my shopping for plane tickets. I'm going to just quickly look through questions and comments and see what everybody else has to say. If you guys have other ideas of good ways to do your travel planning and your purchasing of tickets here. Let's see. I'd love to travel in Europe, but for now we are looking at Orlando and Montana over the summer. Yeah, I know a lot of people would love to travel more exotically, but it is unfortunately maybe not the moment yet. Sorry, turning on the light. It is Seattle in winter. Let's see. I had much difficulty in getting flight refunds in 2020 when I had booked through a third party. That's the lesson of the pandemic. The lesson of the pandemic is don't book with a third party if you can avoid it, especially for international travel. Please book directly with the airlines. Using all of these different methods, Skyscanner, Google Flights, the reason you want to do that is it finds you the correct cheapest flight. The other thing I would warn you away from is Expedia and all these other ones sometimes will give you multiple airlines. So I'm flying to Europe on Swiss Air, and then I'm going to switch to Lufthansa to get to Italy, and then I'm going to fly home to JFK on Delta, but then I'm going to fly Continental home. You do not want that ticket. Do not buy that ticket. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. Stick with the same airline. And if it's the same airline, it usually has partners like SkyTeam or Star Alliance. Stick within your alliance. Do not put together multiple different things, because that is going to end up not working out well for you if you need to change things. Have I ever tried Google Flights? Yes, I just talked about that. Why not fly into MXP or FCO and take the train? That's a great question. I have looked all through the different apps and things like that, and Milan is more expensive. So FCO, flying into Rome, that will work. But what we're going to do to try and be more efficient is we're going to start in Venice and work our way down to Rome, because then it takes less train trips, because you have to add that in. Sometimes you think to yourself, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to whatever. I'm going to Amsterdam, but I'm going to fly into Paris because it's $50 cheaper if I fly to Paris, and I'll just take the train to Amsterdam. You're not saving money, because in reality, what's going to happen is you're going to have to pay probably $150 for that train ticket. So that's something you need to factor into your travel plans when you're buying a ticket, is what is the connection when you use an airport that's not the airport you actually want to fly into. So another idea could be that I fly into Treviso or fly into Bergamo. There's a lot of these really funky little airports in Italy you can get really cheap connection tickets to, but then I'm adding the time and the expense of getting to my actual destination. So think that through really carefully. If you're in Italy, for example, you can look at the Trenitalia website or Italo, and you can get an estimate of the cost of those train tickets to connect. How many months in advance can you look at flights for on Skyscanner? I think they do up to a year, but some airlines, but see, that's not, they may have up to a year. But even right now, people are asking me if they should buy tickets for some of our tours in March, April, and May. And my response is, hang on just a second, because a lot of airlines still don't understand where this year is going. They don't know how many people are going to travel this year. Everybody's saying, oh, it's going to be a banner year in travel. I don't believe that at all. And so a lot of airlines have scaled back their schedules, keeping ticket prices a little bit high. And I think when it gets closer, if things start improving, they're going to open up a lot of flights, and then the ticket prices potentially could go down. So that's why you need to be really careful and thoughtful about when you buy your ticket. You have to be very strategic in this particular moment. So I would not buy a ticket a year out in advance unless it was with miles. Miles, go for it. If you're using miles, buy it as far out in advance as you can. That's when you get the good deals. But if you're paying cash, yeah, I wouldn't do that. Interesting travel packages on Costco. Yes, ma'am, Miss Dawn Rowe, you are correct. I know that Dawn and I have been talking a lot about Costco. I am in love with Costco right now because they have the best deal on everything. I bought my dishwasher from them, like things you wouldn't think of buying from Costco. By the way, did I ever tell you I bought my car from Costco? I literally bought my car from Costco because it was the best deal. I called Costco and said, I want a Mazda CX-9. And they said, sure, what features do you want? They sent the bid to the dealer. I walked into the dealership. They handed me the keys and let me sign the papers. I didn't have to haggle. I didn't have to ask questions. It was great. So Costco does have great travel deals. However, they are way into mainstream travel. Just like everything else in Costco, they're into, big. So if you want to stay at a Hilton in Hawaii, they're going to be able to help you. If you want to stay at that quirky little hotel I suggest in Venice, yeah, that's not where you're going to want to get your travel from. So if you're doing kind of the big classic things like a cruise to Mexico or a trip to Disneyland, I did that once actually with the kids. We did a trip to Disneyland through Costco, and we stayed at one of the Disneyland owned hotels because I wanted to do something kind of special and memorable. And they had the best deal for the Disneyland hotels, and they included some extras. They always include some extras usually. I think it was a better deal on the tickets. So yeah, so if you're doing more classic travel stuff, yeah, Costco is a great place to look. Let's see. Do I use an incognito when searching? Like I said, no, I don't use the incognito mode just because it doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. So I don't know. Somebody more tech savvy than me can confirm or deny this, but I believe that that's not an issue anymore, especially because if you're booking directly with an airline, they don't do that stuff. They do fluctuating pricing, but not as much. So like the Delta flight that I'm looking at buying the kids, that is exactly the same price for the entire month. So yeah, I don't think that that's relevant anymore. The last time I used a travel company for flights, they really messed up the tickets. We found ourselves stuck in Milan and had to deal with them. Ultimately, I had to buy separate tickets, then seek a refund later. Yep. You are not the only one that's reporting that same thing. Travel agents, I used to love working with our travel agent here in Seattle. They were wonderful. They always did a great job for me. I think if it's an actual travel agent, like a human on the phone, that's one thing, because then you have a phone number to call and you can call that person to help them sort out a mess. That's okay. Travel agents like that now, though, they charge a fee. They charge usually $100 on top of the ticket price that you might be paying. So that's just the fee that I heard of the last time I worked with a travel agent. So if the ticket was $580 to go to Venice, it would be $680 because you're paying that $100, which is worth the time of the person who found you the ticket and booked it and all that kind of stuff. But I would never book on a nameless, faceless internet ticketing site. It doesn't matter what the discount is. If you save $50 by booking on fly2bair.com and you've never heard of them, you don't know what country they're from, it's not worth that money because it's going to cause you a problem. I'll give you a quick story, actually. I booked a ticket on one of these random, I think it was based in Australia, ticket agencies for a ticket just from Rome to Sicily. And the day I was supposed to fly down there, I had to be there on time. Like it was really critical. I arrived on time. And I kept calling Alitalia to confirm that I had a seat because I tried to log in. I tried to put in my seat or put in any of my confirmation stuff. They didn't recognize anything that I had, none of it. So I ended up at the last minute having to buy another ticket. When I got to the airport, I checked and they did actually have record of the ticket once I got to the counter. but Alitalia otherwise had no record at all of this ticket that I had bought. So I just panicked. It was a cheap ticket. It was only maybe $50. So I just bought a new one. But that's kind of an example, is a lot of these little weird, funky companies that give you this big discount. The big airline that you're flying with may have no record of your flight until you get to the desk. That's not worth it. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Martha McGee says, I use paid services for cheap fares. They give out low price fares that are good only for 24 hours. Sometimes there are mistake fares that are insanely low. Yeah, Scott's cheap vacations and fare drop are two examples of those. So yeah, if you've used those, I'd love it if you could comment. I haven't used those just because I don't do spontaneous travel. I'm a tour guide. So, but if you do, please comment. I'd love to know what you think about that. Yeah, somebody else asked, how do you do incognito? Incognito is a setting on your browser that a lot of people use for, let's say, sexy reasons. If they don't want people knowing what they're looking at on the internet, you can turn on the incognito mode and then nobody knows who you are. It covers up your computer's address. So some people use that because they think they get a better deal on plane tickets. You can try it. Let me know if it works. I don't think it works anymore. Maybe it did. How long would I allow for a CDG, a Charles de Gaulle in Paris connection? Great question, because that is a crazy airport. They used to just have that main terminal, but now they have Terminal G, Terminal F, Terminal M34G, or whatever. There's all these weird different things. I have gotten through Charles de Gaulle in under an hour, but I would never, ever recommend that. And that is me running. And every time I have less than an hour, my bag doesn't make it if I have a checked bag. So I would suggest minimum hour and a half. 2 hours would make me more comfortable. If you don't know the airport, because Charles de Gaulle is a little, if you've never been there, definitely no less than 90 minutes. Has to be at least, probably more. Also, it depends on where you're coming from. Because if I'm coming from the United States, if I'm coming from Seattle, that flight, Seattle, Charles de Gaulle, is so regular. It is so reliable. It's Swiss practically. But the flights between Italy and Charles de Gaulle, as you might imagine, don't always leave exactly when they're supposed to leave. So when I'm flying inbound to Charles de Gaulle and then out to Seattle, I definitely want a good 90 minutes to 2 hours to connect there. So if that makes sense, the way in, I'm okay with a shorter connection, but the way out, depending on where you're coming from, yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah, 2 hours is safe. But the thing is that you may not even have that as one of your options in the search engines, because I've noticed that KLM, Delta, and Air France are all really tightening them up. They will very often give you an hour and not give you any other options. If you get an hour in Amsterdam, you're okay. You're going to be fine. If you get an hour in Charles de Gaulle, when you get off that plane, you find somebody and you say, I am on this connecting flight. I have this many minutes. Help me. I did that once and they took me by the hand and took me down the back hallway of the airport. And they got me directly to my flight faster than everybody else, which was pretty cool. So you can do it. Okay, what about using the Delta card for luggage and refundable tickets? Ding, 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 very good. That's what I do. I have a Delta American Express Reserve card that is worth its weight in gold because they give you all kinds of extras. The other thing that's really nice about the Delta American Express cards, they have phone numbers you can call if you need help, if you need to change your tickets, that help you skip hop over the sort of general phone line. Yeah, 100%. I'm going to be buying my tickets with my Delta American Express card because there are so many perks and they're so flexible. The Delta takes really good care of their regular customers, believe me. What is your recommendation for booking tickets when two different airline companies are required to reach a location? I typically fly Delta and their partners, but it won't get me to Slovenia. That's a great question. Yeah, at that point, I think you have a couple of different options. Normally, in a normal world, which I can hardly even remember a normal world, but back in the olden days, during the normal days, I would have said, take whatever ticket makes sense. So sure, fly Seattle to Germany on Lufthansa and then fly on whatever, Adria Air to Slovenia. Doesn't matter. That's fine. It'll work. These days, I wouldn't do that. If you're going to Slovenia, as an example, I would fly into the nearest major airport that connects with the airline you fly. So let me give you an example. If you're going to Slovenia and you fly Delta, fly into Venice and then get a transfer. If you fly Lufthansa, fly into Munich and get a transfer. Because those transfers are not often that expensive. and you're going to save yourself a whole lot of headache. So that's what I would do, is just get on the ground and then get to your destination if it's a wonky destination like Slovenia is. Let's see. Does Delta limit the number of award tickets like United does? They kind of do. It's a kind of yes, kind of no. I've never had a problem getting an award ticket if I don't mind spending all of my miles. So I bought an award ticket the day before to come home from Rome at the height of the pandemic in September of 2020, because there was a lot of reasons I had to change my ticket a whole bunch of times. And yeah, there was always a flight. There's always a ticket. It's just, do you really want to pay 100,000 miles for a one-way ticket? If you have to, sure. But yeah, they go up and then eventually they're gone. But for the most part, they can usually find you. That's what I love about Delta, is they have such a big network that if the Amsterdam flight doesn't have any more award tickets, the flight to JFK will, or the flight to Atlanta will. They'll always find a way. It's just going to cost you. That's all. Let's see what else. What's a good way to find a list of cheap Europe-only airlines? I would go to Skyscanner. Skyscanner seems to be the most up-to-date with all the funky airlines, Ryanair, Wizz Air. Wizz Air is my new favorite. I think that's based in Hungary, and I've flown with them a couple of times this past year, and they're kind of the new Ryanair, except for they're not as gross as Ryanair. So yeah, check out Skyscanner. When I say don't fly with a third party, I am looking at using my credit card points. Is that considered a third party? I can't answer that because I don't know the details of your program. So all programs are different. So whatever you do, just make sure you stay on the same airline in the same network the entire voyage. One way, like I'm saying, SkyTeam, which is Delta, KLM, Air France, or One World, which is British, Iberia. Try to stick with the same company, because then you don't have to go through some other awkward situation to talk to somebody. Why not book through a trusted travel agent? Yeah, you can. Book through a trusted travel agent. It'll cost you. Like I said, it's going to be probably $100 on top of your plane ticket cost for that person on the other end of the phone. Right now, that might be worth it for you, because then if you run into troubles, like let's say you test positive for COVID and you're going to have to stay in place for 1 week, you need to be able to call somebody and say, change this ticket for a week from now. So sure, yeah, a travel agent is great. We used to use Elizabeth Holmes here. I'm not sure what their situation is now, but they were always really good. But you do have to pay that extra fee on top of it. Let's see. Once in Italy, what's the best way to book a flight from Rome to Palermo? I just use my phone. I fly, I guess it's ITA now, which used to be Alitalia, and I just book on their website using my phone. I can book through Skyscanner. They have an app on there. So I just do everything on my computer or my phone. So that should be no problem. From Rome to Palermo, it's probably going to cost you 40, 50 bucks, most likely, but you'll have to take a look at that. It kind of fluctuates. But the good thing between Rome and Palermo, they're very frequent, but buy earlier rather than later. I bought tickets within hours of the departure of the flight, and you definitely pay for it. Do I know anything about the airline French Bee? French Bee, I think, is a subsidiary of Air France, I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like their low-cost version. What I know about it is it's a low-cost version, which means it's going to be no frills. And just remember that a lot of times those low frills tickets that seem so cheap are not cheap, because if you require a seat assignment, if you have to check bags, if you want to be the first on the plane, all of these things you add, like a Ryanair ticket, can end up costing you more than an Air France ticket or a KLM ticket, because you've put all these other things in there that the KLM ticket would have included already. Like KLM, for example, includes lunch, like everywhere. Even if it's an hour flight, they include a sandwich. Ryanair, no, their food is disgusting anyway, and it costs a lot. And they even want to charge you to go to the toilet. That was one of their ideas. So yeah, so be careful with those low-cost airlines. Wizz Air, I do like, because they are genuinely cheap, and they don't have a lot of gimmicky stuff like Ryanair. But French Bee, yeah, give it a shot. Just be real careful about that. Okay, Don says you can sign up for the free version of Scott's cheap flights. So there you go. You can give that a shot. Let me know how that goes if you do. Most efficient airport to fly into with a final destination of Florence. If you're going to Florence from the United States, the most efficient airline to fly into would be Rome, or fly directly to Florence. Actually, Florence is really easy to connect on KLM and Air France. The other option, if you fly British ever, you can fly into Pisa. Pisa is a really easy airport. You can find really, really cheap flights flying into Pisa. And then there's just a 1 hour bus between the airport and the train station of Florence that leaves almost, it coordinates with the landing of the flight. I've done this many times. So flying into Pisa is a very clever way to get to Florence. The Florence tickets used to be very expensive to fly into the Florentine airport, but it's not so much that way anymore. In fact, the cheapest flight into Italy right now, it looks like, is into Florence. And from there, you can get into town on the tram. So I would say fly directly to Florence if that's one of your options. Otherwise, look at Pisa or Rome. How much layover time do you need in the US if a flight is not direct to Seattle to get through customs? If you're connecting through the US and you need to do customs, like let's say I'm flying Rome, JFK, Seattle. When I land in JFK, I want a minimum of an hour up to 2 hours. So it depends. If you have global entry and you're organized and you don't have a lot of luggage, like I'll just have my backpack and my global entry and my passport, customs takes me like 5 minutes. I'm out of there. So I don't even care. I can have a 45-minute or less connection time, and I usually still make it. If you don't have global entry and you have checked bags, you want a minimum of 90 minutes to 2 hours, because especially JFK has weird terminal things, and Detroit is another one that's kind of big. So just depending on the size of the airport and your situation. If you don't have global entry, by the way, and you're a fan of mine, let me just tell you, you need to do that because you are a traveler. You are an international traveler, and global entry will save you so much time. It's a little bit of a hassle to get initially because you have to go down to the airport and they interview you and fingerprint you and all that stuff. But then it's so easy. Now, when I go through customs, I don't even pull out my passport. They take a picture of my face, it spits out a little receipt, and then I go about my business, get my bags, and I'm out of there. I got out of the Seattle airport last time. From the time the flight landed until I was on the curb was 20 minutes. So get your global entry. If you're not doing anything else this year, organize that. It's good for 4 or 5 years, I think it is. It's like $100. Well worth it. All right. I was supposed to go to Italy, Tuscany in June. No rental cars available. Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird? I'm hearing about this all over the world, or rental cars that cost $1,000. There are problems right now with the whole chips in cars thing. What I would recommend doing is, instead of looking at the biggies like Hertz or Avis, look at the funky little Italian rental ones, Sicily by Car or Italy by Car. They're little tiny local ones, and they're a little funky. I've gotten some funky cars from them before, but they work and they're very cheap. So Sicily by Car, they do more than just Sicily, not just Italy. I'll bet you they've got cars. They might be old, but they're cars. You want wheels. And let me tell you, if you're driving through Tuscany, you may end up in a ravine like I did once. So maybe a new car is not the best choice anyway, right? All right. Would you choose Ryanair or ITA from Rome to Sicily? Ooh, ITA, because I haven't been on it yet. Fly on ITA. It's just the revived, reanimated corpse of Alitalia, but sure, fly ITA. Ryanair, I don't know. I just have a problem with Ryanair. Like there's a lot of ethical things I don't care about for Ryanair. So yeah, support ITA. Let's make sure Italy keeps its own national airline. That would be neat for us to always have a national airline. When having a connecting flight, different airline, how do you best confirm if your bags are being transferred or if you have to retrieve bags to check in with the second airline? You need to ask. Yeah, if you have 2 different flights, like let's say I'm flying Seattle to Luca, everybody can hear you. If you're flying I got an espresso machine for Christmas from Luca, and he uses it more than I do. Anyway, so if you're flying Seattle to Switzerland on Swiss Air, for example, then you're flying on ITA from Switzerland to Italy. Those are not the same network. So you have to ask. And usually, like let's say, for example, I flew to Amsterdam from Seattle, and then I flew on some really fun, Transavia to Verona. And that was a completely separate process. I had to check in again. So be careful when you go and you check in for your first flight, ask them. I personally, if I was flying on 2 different networks, I would not check any bags. Well, but I don't check any bags anyway, and you shouldn't be either. So that's the answer to that question. Don't check bags. Friends of mine had reservations on French Beat twice, and their flights were canceled only a couple of days in advance. I would never trust them. Well, there we go. Yeah, see, all of these little cheapy airlines I'm a little suspicious about, so just be careful. How long is global entry good for? I think it's 5 years. It could be 4 years. It's long. It's worth it. It's $100, totally worth it. Absolutely love it. And here's another fun thing. If you have global entry, I don't know if they're still doing it, but when I had to renew mine in 2020, they let me do it at customs at the airport in JFK. And it took me about 15 minutes. Oh, 5 years, 5 years for $100, $20 a year. Best money spent ever. Yep. Let's see. Any other questions? I think that may be everything. So I hope that this inspires you to start just having some fun. You know, I know we're all a little wonky, not sure if the travel season is going to start. I was interviewed on a TV show recently, and they asked me, oh, isn't this going to be the biggest year travel's ever had? And my answer is no, it's not. People are freaked out, and I don't blame you, but I think it's good to start dreaming. We got to get back to our normal lives. From my point of view, you can't quote me on this, but I'm looking at early March as being when things start getting back to normal. And those of you who are ready to kind of be on the avant-garde of that and travel a little bit earlier, you're going to get cheap tickets. And this is just the thing I wanted to point out to everybody, is that if this year turns out to be the way everybody's anticipating, everybody thinks it's going to be a huge year for travel, tickets are going to be massively expensive. I was looking at the tickets to fly myself to France in June, $1,600 for the same ticket that they're advertising right now for $590 for February. So please just have that in mind, that flights are going to start. I mean, the airlines lost a lot of money. They got to figure out how to make that back somehow. So when travel actually comes back, it's going to get exponentially more expensive. So those of you that are a little more ready to be adventurous and get out there soon, if you're boosted up, you are ready to go, you've got lots of masks on you, I don't know, this is a great time to snag the deal of a lifetime, because I don't know when we're going to see a $500 round trip plane ticket to Europe again. It might be a long time. So good luck. And if nothing else, have fun dreaming. Even if you're traveling in 2025, it doesn't matter. Now's a good time to start putting those travel dreams back into drive, and let's get excited. Would you like to share something, Luca?
I was just going to ask, are you going to discount some tours for the 2022 tour season?
No. No. Oh, wait, there is a discount. Sorry. What Luca is my best marketer. We are going to do, as I mentioned in a previous video, a Patreon discount for 2022 and probably 2023 as well, which is going to be $150 for our $50 subscribers, $100 for our $25 subscribers, and $50 for our $10 subscribers. So if you're not a Patreon subscriber, get on it, man. Please support us, and we will support you back and give you discounts off of our
We
tours.
are giving you money. If you buy a tour and you subscribe at the $50 level, we are giving you money. Giving you money.
No, we're not literally giving you money.
Well, we are.
Anyway, well, thank you guys for watching today, and I hope that this enlightened you a little bit. And please, if you have some suggestions I haven't come up with, please go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm happy to respond to anything after the video is over. And thank you for the nice comment about my hair. This is the longest I've had my hair in about 3 years, and I'm very excited about it. So what else this week? We're going to be doing mostly travel skills stuff this week. And one last announcement. You all have been asking me what happened to that backpack from Egypt. I did have my dad film me unpacking it, but it's taken a little bit of editing. So I am going to premiere that video on YouTube next week, but I'm going to let you watch it earlier if you subscribe to my newsletter, because that's the other thing we're working on. We are going to have an actual Adventures of Sarah travel newsletter that's going to come out every month. That's going to have videos, articles. It's going to have recipes, announcements, all kinds of fun stuff. I'm thinking of it as like a little travel magazine that you get in your inbox once a month. So I have an assistant who's helping me with that, and that should be out hopefully by next week. And the little prize in that email is going to be the link for the early access to that fun video about how did I get through Egypt and Jordan with just a little tiny backpack. You can find out then. Okay. Ciao for now, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.